Hey, what's up guys, I'm finally back after taking a long break from making some YouTube videos. I needed to go settle a few things, but now I'm back, right when 3.1 drops. Even though I took a break from making YouTube videos, I still play Genshin daily. I need to get those daily Primo gems, right? And right now, I'm gonna bring you the complete Cyno guide for those of you who plan on pulling Cyno. Cyno is your typical DPS character. His normal attacks are the same as the other Polearm users, but his normal attacks multipliers are really high, and might be the highest that we've got on a Polearm character so far. Now, I want to talk about his elemental skill first. His E skill is basically Electro Shell's E skill, but what's interesting about his E skill is that it will cast Mortuary Rite when he's under Pact Sworn Path Clear state. So what is this Pact Sworn Path Clear state? Well, it's basically just his elemental burst, but the real secret is not in his elemental burst. Instead, it's in his Ascension 1 passive, the Featherfall Judgment. To simplify this, basically it means that when Cyno casts his elemental burst, there will be this eye appearing on your screen at a certain intervals. If you cast your elemental skill when this eye appears on your screen, Cyno will gain a 35% damage boost to his elemental skill's damage, and he'll fire off 3 thunderbolts that deal 100% of his attack as electro damage. And also his Ascension 4 increases the normal attack damage of his elemental burst and the thunderbolts triggered by his Ascension 1 based on his elemental mastery. So the priority of leveling up his talents will be his ultimate burst, then his elemental skill, and lastly his normal attacks. And when you use him, you might want to make sure that you cast your elemental skill when the eye appears on your screen to deal even more damage. Before we go further into his artifacts build, let's talk about his Constellations first. His C1 is basically just an attack speed boost. It gives Cyno a 20% attack speed boost for 10 seconds when he casts his elemental burst, and if you trigger the Judication effect, or basically casting his elemental skill when the eye appears on your screen, the duration of this buff is refreshed. But I don't think that this Constellation is worth your money, because we have other characters that boost your normal attack speed such as Songyun or Jin. Sure, higher attack speed means that you can deal more normal attacks during his Q, but a 20% difference in attack speed is really not that significant of a damage boost, so for that I give this Constellation a 2 out of 5 stars. Next, his C2 boosts his electro damage bonus by 10% for 4 seconds, once every 0.1 seconds, with a maximum of 5 stacks. So this totals to a 50% electro damage boost, as long as Cyno keeps attacking. This Constellation is really broken in my opinion, because a 50% electro damage boost, and if the formula of the damage is correct, means that your damage will be increased by almost 50%, so I give this Constellation a 5 out of 5 star. His C4 makes him into a battery. He'll restore 3 elemental energy for his party members when he triggers an elemental reaction. This is really weird, but okay Constellation. For that, this Constellation only gets a 1 out of 5 stars from me. Lastly, his C6. What his C6 does is basically when Cyno casts his elemental burst, he will gain 4 stacks of Day of the Jackal effects. And what this buff does is when Cyno hits an enemy with his normal attack, it will consume 1 stack of the buff, and he will fire off a Duststalker bolt that deals 100% of his attack as electro damage. It has a maximum of 8 stacks, which is 4 from casting his Q, and 4 more when you trigger the Judication effect. This can only occur once every 0.4 seconds, and this Constellation without a doubt will boost his damage even more, but again, this is a will territory, and I don't think that it's worth the money to C6 him, but I just need to remind you that spend what you can afford. This Constellation gets a 5 out of 5 stars from me. Since we know that Cyno's elemental burst damage scales from elemental mastery, you might want to make sure to give him an artifact set that boosts both attack and elemental mastery. Wait, Gilded Dreams fit that perfectly! One of the best artifact sets that you can use is 4-piece Gilded Dreams. Its 2-piece increases the elemental mastery, and its 4-piece increases the elemental mastery or attack further when Cyno triggers an elemental reaction, depending on the number of different elements in your party. The next best artifact for him is the Thundering Fury. The 2-piece effect boosts his electro damage, but the real value of this artifact set lies in the 4-piece effect. When Cyno triggers Quicken or Aggravate, his elemental skill cooldown is going to be decreased by 1 second, and it can occur every 0.8 seconds. This means that Cyno can cast more elemental skills, which already have a really low cooldown time of 4 seconds. Personally, I will go for 4-piece Thundering Fury instead of a 4-piece Gilded Dreams, but the difference between the two is not that significant and it depends a lot on your playstyle. For Thundering Fury, you can cast more elemental skill, since your elemental skill will have a cooldown of 2 seconds, but remember that the eye will have a 4 seconds interval between each, so you might have a slight downtime. This means that this playstyle has a little room for error, especially when the enemy keeps moving around. For Gilded Dreams, you can have a more consistent buff, but you will have an overall lower damage because the number of elemental skills that you can cast is lower. But between these two, since the difference is not that significant, my advice is just to go with whichever set that you have the best substats on. For his sense, it's better to go for EM sense rather than attack percent sense, because most of the time you might only want Cyno to be on the field when his burst is up, and his burst damage scales off Elemental Mastery. If you remember his Ascension 4, his EM gives a damage boost to his burst normal attacks, and also give a boost when his Ascension 1 passive is triggered. For Goblet, it's definitely an electro damage bonus cup, and for the Circlet, you can go with either crit rate or crit damage depending on your rolls, and try to get 60% to 70% of crit rate before going for more crit damage. There's a lot of good polearm options for Cyno, and I'll only be mentioning those that I think are the most suitable for him. First, without a doubt, is the Staff of the Scarlet Sands, his signature weapon. It gives a whopping 44% crit rate and also gives a huge EM and attack boost, just the thing that Cyno needs. Staff of Homa is also a great option for him. It has a 66% crit damage bonus for his substat, which is really huge, and his passive also increases his attack even further. Another option is a Primordial Jade Wing Spear. With a high base attack stats on it, with a crit rate substat, and also another attack buffing passive, this weapon is his second best 5-star polearm. You just can't go wrong with more attack and more crit rate on him. Calamity Queller is his next best polearm. It has the highest base attack stat out of all 5-star polearms, with another attack percent substat, and it gives even more attack and elemental damage bonus on its passive. Skyward Spine is also great on him because of the energy recharge substat, and Cyno, just like any other DPS character, also lacks energy recharge. Besides energy recharge, Skyward Spine also offers a 16% crit rate bonus and 12% attack speed, which is great since higher attack speed means Cyno can deal even more hits during his burst. Engulfing Lightning and Vortex Vanquisher is just an okay polearm, but if you don't have any 5-star polearms beside those two, well, you can actually go with that too, since 5-star polearms basically always gives more base attack than 4-star ones. For 4-star polearms, the Battle Pass weapon Deathmatch is probably the best 4-star weapon for him, because it gives the crit rate that Cyno needs, making your artifact farming less painful, and it also gives you attack buff depending on the number of enemies around you. The new craftable Moon Piercer is also great. Basically, it gives an attack and elemental mastery boost for Cyno when he triggers a Dendro reaction. And the new 4-star polearm Massive Wind Spear is also a great option for him because it has an attack percent subset, and it also boosts his attack even further, gives more elemental mastery when Cyno triggers an elemental reaction. Black Cliff Pole is also good because it gives you crit damage, but the passive is too situational. Unless you really need crit damage, I wouldn't really recommend Black Cliff Pole. Now let's talk about his team comps. As we've discussed earlier in the video, Cyno skills off elemental mastery and attack, but what's the point of having high elemental mastery if you don't utilize it for elemental reactions, right? We know that the new Dendro reaction Aggravate is really good. It makes Electro really shine. Thus, we need an off-field Dendro applicator, and we have Traveler or Collie to fill that role. Which to use really depends on your playstyle, but I prefer to use Traveler rather than Collie, because you only need to cast the ultimate burst once, creating a Dendro AoE ring, and it lasts 12 seconds, giving you the time to cast another party member's skill. And for the third slot, since we know that Cyno ultimate burst costs 80 energy and he has an energy problem, we need an Electro battery for him, and Fischl fills that role perfectly. But if you need some healing, then probably you can swap Fischl for Cookie or Dory. And the last slot is for utility. It can be anything depending on your playstyle. For example, if you're using Fischl for the third slot and you need some healing, you can go with a healer here like Jin. Yes, I still don't have Jin. That can provide both healing and attack speed buff. Or Diana that can both heal and gives you shield. Zhongli is also a great option because it gives you a shield and all elemental resistance shred. Kazuha is also great. You can shred the enemy's electro resistance using swirl, boosting your Cyno's damage even further. You can also use Yunjin to give you the normal attack buff, making Cyno deal even more damage. So the question is Cyno a great DPS character? Well, yes, probably on the level of Xiao. But is he a must pull? I don't really think so because he's not changing the meta that much. But if you like him, and the new Abyss is probably going to be tailor-made for Cyno, or you'd have enough DPS characters, well, just go for it. He will definitely add more value to your account. That's it for today's video. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe if you enjoyed the guide that I compiled, and if you wish to have more videos like this in the future. Until next time, see ya!